overwhelmingly because of one guy, Caleb Williams. The #1 pick, the Heisman winner out of USC. He's a stupendous talent. But no matter how gifted you are, there is a way to play quarterback in the NFL. Ask Johnny Manziel. Backyard football doesn't work. It just doesn't. I don't care how gifted you are. It doesn't work. Lamar Jackson has always been better in the pocket. A 102 passer rating last year in the pocket. Better in the pocket than anybody will give him credit for. Yes, Caleb is gifted, but there are just things you can't do. Ad-lib your way to wins. So Patrick Mahomes and the great ones can do this. You think, the behind-the-back stuff, he's practiced that 200 times in practice. 97% or higher of Patrick Mahomes is structured. It's under control. It's coached. He plays within the offense, within the pocket. And about 3 times a game, he goes big time. Right? Michael Jordan lived on 17-footers. And twice a game, he did something you'd never seen. So Caleb, in week 1, felt like if Mahomes is 97% under structure and in the pocket, Caleb felt like a 50-50 proposition. And you can't improv in the NFL. Now, you can blame the offensive line, but the late comedian Robin Williams, Patrick Mahomes, the great ones, they make you think they're improvising, and they're not. And they can audible out of trouble. That's the gift of Brady and Manning and Breeze and Mahomes. They don't face the pressure regularly because they can audible out of it and see it. The pocket is your friend. Seek comfort there. That's where you lay your head at night. Home. C.J. Stroud's a great example of this. C.J. Stroud rushed only 39 times last year. Think about this. 50% of his rushes. This is how intentional C.J. Stroud is. Were touchdowns or first downs. He runs when he has to. And he can. But 50% were touchdowns or first downs. That's intentional. That's being able to see things coming. That's having an idea pre-snap. I may move here. That's the way to do it. Caleb looked out of sorts, a little disorganized, ad-libbing to a fault, and Greg Cosell yesterday discussed it.
He was very focused on just executing the play call, whether that receiver was open or not. That's very common for rookie quarterbacks in their first start. So he made a lot of throws that he probably shouldn't have made. The ball comes out of his hand beautifully. We all know that. He needs to really get a better innate understanding of the pocket and how to play from the pocket. He tends to move and create his own pressure. He tends to climb the pocket and step up when he doesn't need to. Now, in college, maybe you can get away with that at times, but in the NFL, you're not going to get away with that.
Make it intentional. And so much of this, Brady talks about, so much of avoiding pressure is pre-snap. Can you read the defense, kind of contextualize what's going to happen before it happens? That is this league. Johnny Manziel Nick Saban couldn't stop Johnny Manziel in college with all those first-round NFL defensive players couldn't stop him. Johnny Manziel, 5 minutes into the league, you're like, yeah, it's not going to work at all. That's not going to work at all. And after I watched week 1, I'm like, it'll work because he's more talented than Manziel, but that's not going to work at a high level at all. J-Mac with the news.
No. Heard on the news. This is the Herdline News.
All right, Colin, let's start with the Bengals-Chiefs, a prime AFC matchup on Sunday. Teams have interesting recent history. Burrow's done well against Kansas City, and wouldn't you know it, but Jamar Chase is giving KC bulletin board material. He's going after the 2-time defending champions. Here's what he said yesterday.
Yeah, 100%. Everybody knows that, bro. It's not no if, you know what I'm saying? We are the team to beat in the AFC, and we know it, and we got to act like it, and we got to play like it, too. All that noise y'all making stuff, we see it, we hear it, but we're not worried about it, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it's about the team and what we're doing on the field. The outside people are not on the field telling us what to do on the field, so I'll let them stay outside and have them make their own comments.
Yeah, I don't think anybody knows that. I don't even know if Cincinnati's a playoff team. I didn't know it before the season. I don't know it now. I think less of it now.
Poking the bear? Like, what are you doing? By the way, the Bengals, I know they have, Joe Burrow has a good record, 3-1. We got the stats against KC. I just want to remind people, the last time the Bengals beat the Chiefs was December of 2022.
Yeah.
They lost the last 2. Now, Burrow, though, has played well.
Yeah.
It looks like T. Higgins is a no-go again this week. Jamar Chase will play.
My question is, after Jamar Chase, that rookie Burton, is that
he had like 4 snaps last week.
Yeah, I mean, so they don't have. You got to have something beyond the one. They can roll coverage over on the one.
As it stands right now, who scares you more offensively, the Cowboys or the Bengals? Be honest.
Cowboys. No.
So I don't know how the Bengals are a story here. I don't know what they're doing. So, by the way, Jamar Chase, some details on his contract. He was offered the same contract Justin Jefferson was, but Chase did not like the structure of the guarantees. The Bengals, for some reason, pushed the guarantees to 2027.
They're cheap.
And Chase is like, what are you doing? I want my money now.
Yeah, of course. Like, that's the difference between the Eagles, the Rams, the Niners, and the Bengals. That's why the Bengals' reputation. Fans get really feisty about reputation. The reputation of the Steelers is they don't spend a lot of money up front.
On offense.
Especially on offense. They don't like to give up guaranteed money, and the Bengals are cheap too. They're a cheap franchise. Like that, the idea that you could go to somebody and push. This isn't baseball like the Dodgers doing it to Ohtani. They have the money, but they're trying to help him tax-wise so he can get a lot of his money, and he lives out of the state of California, lower tax rate. That's clever.
Smart.
And the player, by the way, is all up for that. This is just being cheap. Pay the money, give him his money now.
Is this game in the Blazing 5?
No.
Any consideration?
By the way, Hollywood Brown is, did you read the story on him this morning?
No, is he in or out?
Out.
Okay.
No, this game's not under consideration. I just don't know. I mean, again, I think I would take the Bengals in the points because I like to take points. This week I'm taking favorites 3, and I don't do that very often.
Right.
And I feel good about all of them.
I haven't seen the picks, so I'm very excited for the Blazing 5. Let's get to the next story.
As usual, in Los Angeles, wherever you may be and however you may be listening, thanks for making us part of your day. 1 hour from now, I have my Blazing 5 picks. J-Mac will have his in the 3rd hour. Last night, yes, there was a football game. The bigger story, of course, is Tua had his 4th concussion. And, I think it's something we had thought about. Last year did not have one, J-Mac. So when you see the fencing and the hands, it is so tough to watch. And I want to start with that, not the Bills win. If I was Tua, I would probably call it a career. I would probably call it a wrap. If Tua was my son was playing football, I would suggest calling it a wrap. But I'm not a pro athlete. They are hyper-competitive. They fight to the end. And in team sports, they often feel a guilt to teammates and coaches in letting them down. It is real. It's one of the many reasons pro athletes are admirable and redeemable. They fight. They play through pain. They don't want to let teammates down. They cry when they do. I'm thinking about this morning. I wonder if the NFL should not consider an amnesty clause. Every team gets one every 5-10 years, that if a player gets a concussion or a serious possible career-ending injury, the player gets played, but it doesn't go against, it's an amnesty clause, it doesn't go against one every 5-10 years, your salary cap. So it doesn't punish the coaches or the teammates. Because I think Tua's probably going to talk himself into playing again. And I'm not sure he should. He's a great guy. Very thoughtful, and he's a wonderful teammate. He has an incredible reputation in the league, and I think he'll talk himself into playing. I think he'll have doubts. Reportedly, a member of his family suggested it's time to quit. I think I would, but that's not the way pro athletes are. Andrew Luck was rare that in his 20s, in his prime, he walked away. But it's very hard for pro athletes to do that. I mean, think about it. Most of us go to college and we start thinking about our careers. But the journey for a professional athlete often starts when they're 6, 7, 8 years old. People sacrifice for them. It's their identity. It's a lifestyle. Tua has been a quarterback back in Hawaii for, probably started at 6 or 7 years old, and he's, 26 years old now? Something like that. It's a big part of him. He's got a life beyond that, but it's a big part for pro athletes. And it's a real palpable thing. They feel guilt. They hurry themselves back to play. I've talked to NFL athletes. I had dinner last night with an NFL executive, and he said, we have to sometimes tell players, you can't play this week. You are too hurt. You have to protect them. They fight to the finish. It's not what I do. It's not maybe what you do, but it's what they do. Should the NFL consider somewhat of an amnesty clause to protect the players from themselves? Again, to his decision, it's his. But my guess, he'll talk himself into playing. He'll say things like, I'll be smarter next time. I could have avoided that. Hey, I didn't get hurt last season. And maybe all those are true. But being a pro athlete is almost addictive. It's a wonderful life. It can be a tough life. It can be a physically punishing life.